Hello, everybody. How are you guys? We survived another week, and I know it was a week that we had, didn't we? We are here. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Susan Lynn. I am a psychic medium, and tonight we're going to be chatting and I'm going to be predicting politics. So thanks so much for joining me. You can watch this anytime this weekend, as you all know. But I really appreciate you joining me live. And if you're here, hit the thumbs up because sometimes the notifications aren't working. And I know me, I've gotten unsubscribed from people that I watch, like literally they unsubscribed me. So check your subscriptions and hit the thumbs up because it helps people whose notifications aren't working. That helps them know, oh, smack, Susan's live. Let me go check it out. So I appreciate you. Thank you to all my moderators. Thank you guys for being here. I know we're all ripping and raring. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. I'm going to start with some questions that came in just before I went live, just to kind of get the juices flowing, just to, put some chum in the water for the political sharks to come out. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling today. So here's a question from Cather. I'm going to put it on the screen. And Cather says, From's astrology does not look good around August 12th. Did the guides see we have a reason to pop the celebratory bubbly that's waiting with streamers in the garden, in the in the garage, a refrigerator? Like she's like, I got this thing dialed in. So it's funny because one of the ways my spirit guides send messages to me is that I stare at things. Now, this is not always because look, they're going to use anything they can if it's a situation where you're near something that can tip you off to a message, then that can work, right? So I'm in the grocery store minding my own business. I'm not in the wine aisle, the liquor aisle. I'm nowhere land. And there's an end cap, like at the end of the aisle. And there's these little tiny bottles of Prosecco. And I found myself just standing there with my cart staring at them. Like I was like, what? Why am I staring at Prosecco? I don't drink Prosecco. I don't have anything against it. It's just not something I buy. And why is this bottle so small? So I thought it was about the bottle, but then I was like, oh no, they got you staring at champagne, girl. You should buy it. But I was like, I'm not buying a small bottle of champagne. I'm going to buy a big old bottle of champagne. So I do think there is something to this. I also think that if you're on social media and if you're not, I don't blame you. But if you are, it's actually trending. The question, is it time to put the champagne in the refrigerator? That's all it was. And it was enough that enough people were asking the question that it actually started trending. And the algorithm picked it up. And the algorithm had no idea what it was about. So I'm going to say that there's really good energy around him getting taken down a notch. Here's the problem. I mean, he could cross over. There's certainly people that are, well, that's what I said. I said what I said. You guys know I'm channeling. So sometimes I stop in the middle and I'm like, wait, what? That's what I just did. I was like, wait, what? There's people? So yeah, I said what I said. There are people who are planning something, who are planning some sort of event, if you will. And when I say people, I'm obviously not talking about DJT, right? Like he plans his own events. We've seen this for his own reasons. This is not that. This is someone else planning an event. I also saw BB was in Congress. BB was in Congress. I think it was Congress. He was in a group of men meeting with Rubio, and I think it was Hegseth. And some of the people said that he, lip reading wise, he said, we can't talk about it. There are people watching. And then Rubio, being all the clever spy, that he is, literally went like this and turned a 360 degrees all the way around. Like, where are they? And I'm like, dude, it's on video. It's like, God. I mean, if they were any smarter, we would be in trouble, real trouble. So look, there's something brewing. There's something brewing. They And the problem is when I go into this energy, the problem is the Strait of Hormuz. That is the problem. It is a worldwide cluster, you know what, and it is affecting countries all over the world that are being they're being affected monetarily, but security wise by one guy, by one guy. And think about it. They don't put up with this kind of stuff from any country. But here we are with our one guy causing the entire world's economy to falter. And it's getting old. And these countries are starting to say, what can we do about this? And if you're a fan of history or if you even glimpsed at our history, that we have done many regime changes. The United States has done many regime changes. So it's not out of the ordinary. It wouldn't be out of any sort of it would happen. The other thing is I've always seen Rubio as being the dark horse. He's the guy that Susie Wiles, we always call her Wiley. She's championing him. That's her minion. That's the guy that she wants to get in. Now, I understand that the line of succession puts him way further down, right? Like we're going to have to go through Grassley. We're going to have to go through JD. We're going to have to go through some people. But I would also submit to you that nothing is normal. They don't following any rules. Who's going to make them follow rules? Congress isn't doing it. The Supreme Court isn't doing it. Who's going to do it? So this is the energy that I'm just describing. This is what's happening. Okay. There's something brewing. There's a big sort of thing planned. And it could be that it happens and it doesn't go all the way through. It's not successful in the way that we want it to be. But I feel like there's going to be an attempt. And it's going to be, like that saying, the boy that cried wolf too many times. We're kind of in that territory, are we not? Where this guy has done it to himself a few times, and the next time might be the real thing, and none of us are going to believe it. And that's on him, right? If he can't get extra security because we don't believe it, then that's just the way it is, right? So that's what I would say. He certainly has a very strong potential to bite the bullet or disappear or whatever. I have to be kind of careful with my words. Right. So the good news is SCOTUS ruled against Trump's tariffs. There's a lot of good news out there, really. There is. So yeah. Let's talk about this one. I even have slow mode on and okay, I see what I'm doing now. Okay. I opened up the comments on YouTube because the problem I don't like about StreamYard is that StreamYard doesn't roll the comments in succession to the time. So I'm sometimes way far away from the current comments, and I opened up comments on YouTube so that it would keep it current. But the problem is I can't put them on the screen because it's all on YouTube and not on StreamYard. So, okay. So Jen Glenn says, what's up with the Minnesota water cyber attack? And why is Rand Paul so obsessed with Fauci? It's kind of weird. Well, Rand Paul is weird. He is a weird dude. The guides are reminding me, they talk about this ever so often, but this is the guy from Kentucky whose law office burned down right when the Epstein files were being kind of just starting to get going. So he's an odd duck anyway. But let's talk about the Minnesota water cyber attack. First of all, you can't get past the words Minnesota because we understand that Trump hates Minnesota. He hates Walz because Walz had everything that he didn't have, right? He hates Kamala, but Kamala's not the governor or mayor, so he can't pick on her people, but he can pick on Tim Walz. Tim Walz was there with those thousands of people, just rock star status with Kamala Harris. And that lives in Trump's brain 24/7. He can't seem to be better than that. Well, he knows the truth. They put AI people in the crowds, they paid people, but he knows the truth. And the truth is that he's not as popular. So this is the first thing that we need to look at is this Minnesota water cyber attack. Is this from our own administration? And I'm going to say that the word is sure, but the way they're saying sure makes me realize that there's more to it than that. So I think there's more parties involved. There's other parties involved. There's always other parties involved, because he doesn't do things that he doesn't do things that he doesn't make money on. So there's probably, if you'll look in now or later, you're going to find another company who wants to be a consultant in that realm, or another person who's running for the office. This is about a power play. This is also to make walls look bad, to make the offices look bad, like you can't protect us. Okay, it is him, it is Trump, but there's other people involved, and it's also about power, gaining power of the water supply, the water rights, like being the elected official over that. This is all about tarnishing somebody's reputation. But it's also about terrorizing people. And that's what they do. Listen, this is what the guides have been talking about for months, right? We won't have water. And we've talked about how the grid is so sensitive that that's an easy place for them to get us. They can attack our grid. It's very easy to do. You just hack into it, and all of a sudden the water's not flowing, or the electricity's not flowing, or whatever it is. We're very vulnerable. The guides are saying this is a soft spot in our country. Why is Rand Paul so obsessed with Fauci? Because he was told to be so. I mean, are you not seeing everything? Again, if you're not on social media, you're brilliant. But if you are on social media, you will notice that every third post is about Fauci. They are now coming out against him. I think there was something leaked. There was something leaked about C-19 that looked bad on the administration, and now they're double attacking Fauci to take attention away from them. Yeah, that would be considered a false flag, Angela. That when we attack ourselves, yes, that's considered a false flag. Absolutely. So I would consider it that. Absolutely. I know, as if ICE wasn't enough. And it is, right? It is, Gloria, thank you for being a moderator. It is all distractions away from the e-files. Yes, and thank you for reminding me, a go-team man that is for entertainment only. Thank you. It is terrifying, but here's the thing, you all. We're living through it. People live through wars, people live through things like this, and we are living through it. What I want to help us do is live through it and thrive. The best FU to these people is to thrive, is to make sure that you take care of yourself, that you have a little joy in your life, that you live a good life. They want us to be terrified. They want us to be depressed and staying in our house, because guess what? We're way more controllable when we're terrified. And I just want to live my life and pray for those people that are affected, help when I can, help any way I can. But I also want to make sure that when this is all over, that I'm healthy, that I'm well, and that I'm thriving, because that's the biggest middle finger to them that you can possibly give them. Oh man, I keep clicking the wrong thing. Let's see, because I'm clicking the YouTube thing. Maybe I need to just close that because it's not working anyway. Okay, let's move on. Senator, let's see what you're saying. El Castillo is saying Senator Bernie Moreno was mad at Fauci, but hasn't said a word about his son-in-law, Max Miller, abusing his own daughter and granddaughter. Such a monster. Look, why are the Democrats continuing to pretend like we have to treat these people like statesmen because they're senators? Why are we doing this, right? This is going to be something that we're all going to be screaming about pretty soon. I know, right? You should screenshot it. Um, that's what it was. It was the diary. Thank you, Debbie. Remember they published didn't they publish Ashley Biden's diary? They published Hunter Biden's freaking nude photos and his diary. Then they published Fauci's diary. And the problem with Fauci's diary is it's burning down the house of the Republicans. It makes them look like monsters. And that's why they're going after him. Right, because the Democrats take AIPAC money. The Democrats take all the money. That's a problem that we're going to have to deal with when we get an opportunity. And this is a good point to make, Leslie. A lot of us are seeing through these distractions because they've done them too often. And I want to remind you, we are on the front lines. We already know the election was stolen. And now kind of mainstream people are starting to say, gosh, I think the election was stolen. We're way ahead of these people. So you're right. We've caught on to the distractions. But let me just tell you, there's a bulk, like a huge mass of the citizens of the United States and of the world that are not caught on to this, that are going to be literally mind blown when they find all this out. And they're going to be madder than hell. Really mad. And that's what I keep seeing, right? Like these people losing their minds and just becoming angry, uncontrollably angry. And because we've gotten this reality by degrees, like by degrees every day, every week, every month, we learn more. We're not angry like that anymore, right? We're in this resolve. We're resolved to the world we live in now. We're not giving up, but we're not completely enraged as we were. But these people are about to be enraged. All these data centers that are going up, their water disappearing, their livestock having stillborn babies. I mean, all these things are going to, trust me, they're really, really going to matter. And they're going to change. Thank you for being here, Kevin Lewis Medium. So good to see you. And thank you again to all my wonderful moderators. Right. So there's a couple of other things I wanted to get here. Okay, Maureen Jones. Now, I don't know if I saw something on social media. I did not take an opportunity to vet its veracity. However, I'm going to talk about it. Your question is, please discuss Elon Musk's role in the midterms. There is another tweet by him that says, don't worry about it, I got it covered. Even if that is from 2020 or 2020, whatever it was, or even if it's fake, I want to look into that energy because I feel like, well, okay, so the guides are automatically saying he lost so much money. Like he lost numbers that we couldn't even imagine, the numbers. He's lost that amount of money. So that puts him in a position of need somebody. He needs people. 3 months ago, he was the trillionaire. He didn't need anybody, and he wasn't going to be working for anybody, and he wasn't going to be bending the knee for anybody. Today is a different story. Today, he's lost a lot of money. Also, he's being investigated by other countries. Also, the guides just said that he's going to be investigated by the Securities Exchange Commission, the SEC. He's got problems coming. So he needs to do what? Ingratiate himself into the powers that be, which is the Republican Party and El Frumpo. So he feels like when I go into his energy, oh wow, I haven't been in his energy in a long time. It's not good. I wouldn't suggest it. I wouldn't. Those people who are sensitive, I would get a yardstick and I would triple it and I would keep that far of a distance from him because it's bad. It's stanky and it's skanky and it's horrible. And nobody needs this. But anyway, I'm here, so we're just gonna check it out. I'm going to get a STD out of this, a spiritually transmitted disease. So his energy is, he's absolutely, he is enraged. He is very angry, and he's blaming everyone. He, of course, right? He's blaming his middle management, his top management. He's blaming his workers. He's blaming the stock market. You know, he's blaming El Frumpo. And he's playing a game. He's playing a little game. You know, the problem is these people think they're smarter than they are. When I go into his energy, he may, I don't know if he can do this, but anyway, his intention is to set them up. What if he had a third party unconnected to him do something that was unlawful, allegedly, and you know, what if he said, I'm too busy, I'm washing my hair, and then he said, you know, try somebody else, and then sent somebody there. I'm just saying he's setting them up. He's going to try to set them up. How do you get rid of, he's in a hellacious problem with this administration, if you want to call it that. And if you get rid of the administration, your problem goes away, according to him. So I think he's setting him up. He's setting him up right now. He's not going to play fair, is what the guides are saying. So he might even rig it to go the other way. Everybody's desperate. You cannot predict desperation. You know, when people are absolutely terrified, sometimes they run towards the terror. Other times they freeze. Other times they want to run away from the terror. Hard to predict what he's going to do. He could literally actually rig it for us to win, or he could set them up. But I don't see him. The one thing I don't see him doing is being on the up and up and playing fairly with them, like doing an above board business deal, even if it screws the rest of the world. I'm going to be straight with you. I don't see that happening. Darrell, I don't see them. I'll look again. I'm looking at the midterms. I don't see them stolen because, look, if you had the worst broke down thing, fake, broke down, dirty, rotten, disgusting, smells bad, is somebody going to steal it? I mean, really? So our country is broken. The whole thing is broken. And they can't do what they want with it. They can't turn it into the whole authoritarian regime. They can't, because there's 50 states and millions of people that don't follow. We have states' rules. We have states' laws. So they keep trying to have us have race wars. They keep trying to have us have state wars. They keep trying to have a civil war. They keep trying to do all the things, and it isn't working. It's not working. They're pushing the button and nothing's happening, right? Look what ICE is doing to us, and we're still not in a civil war at the moment because we're just too big and disconnected from each other. So, so I don't think they're going to steal it because it's not worth anything. You know what it's worth is to bring the Democrats in that you pay off. You bring them in, and then you make it more expensive. You fix it. You get your profits back. You get it all back, and you get another chance. And the best thing is you get another chance to do this again in the future. So this is what I see. They can't convert us to an authoritarian regime, mostly because the timing is off. They knew the energy was changing towards power to the people, towards feminine, whatever. So they had to make it happen right now. You know, it's like, you know, the timing's off, but you do it anyway because it's the best thing you got going. I don't think it's going to be stolen. Now, I do think, you know, certain races, yes, because they just can't have that Mondami in there, right? They can't have, they can't lose control of this state or whatever. There will be some races that will be contested, that will be, but not the whole thing. And you know, I will keep tabs on that. When I went into his energy, Ray, I would say yes, he is on the edge of a hemorrhagic stroke. That's exactly what I felt, is desperation and blood pressure. Just everything is out of control. Yeah. So yeah, Elon might even want to start a new party. That makes sense. He thinks with money you can do anything. And he should figure that out because they hired all those people to attend Trump's rallies, but they left early. You know what I mean? Money only buys you so much, right? It doesn't really buy you what you think it does. Enchanted Xennial says cyber attack was consistent with Iran on 2 known exploits of Siemens, and I think Rockwell, maybe F-47, gave them info. Probably not direct. U.S. healthcare is also under Heather cyber attack from Iran. Look, everybody wants to attack us. Everybody wants to attack us. So yes, can it be Iran? Yes. Can it be 47? Yes. Can it be? And it could be anybody. It can be anybody. But it is an attack. It is an attack. Okay, I might have to mute myself and quiet this dog. So question from Laurel says, were Ukraine going to make it through this war since Trump took his promise back regarding the patriotic missiles? Will Putin bomb this company in Ukraine? Yeah, Ukraine is going to make it because this is how they've made it. The guides are saying there's no option. There's no option for stopping. There's no option for failure. They're not going to stop. So if they have to make Molotov cocktails, like if that's all they have left, that's what they're going to do. But luckily, Ukraine has been expecting this. They weren't just sitting around thinking this was never going to happen. They were expecting this to happen. And they are being incredibly creative in making these new weapons. You know, other countries have reached out to Ukraine and said, "Can you teach us how you're using these drones?" Now, should be like a slap in the face because it should be like, wow, Ukraine, congratulations on using your drones, and here's $100 million, and we want to help you be safe. You know what I mean? So Ukraine has this unfavorable situation where they can make money by selling some of their drone secrets, and they may need to because, this is where they are. But I don't see them. I've always seen Ukraine from the very beginning. So far, everything my guides told me from the very beginning has played out exactly how they said. The only thing that did not work out is the timing. The timing was completely wrong. But the guides said that Ukraine would be pulverized. I said this, and you can look at the video; it's still there. But also they would be the phoenix, and they would rise out of the ashes, and the whole country would be rebuilt with modern technology and modern architecture. So that's so far kind of what's happening. Now, they also said that the Donetsk region, that whole area, and Crimea were going to be the contested areas, that Russia was not going to take over the whole country. But those contested areas that were already annexed by Russia were continued to be the front lines. And that has held true. Okay. The problem is, and the problem is Putin, and the solution is Putin being gone. Once he's gone, which the triangle of evil, the axis of evil, which is Putin, Bibi, and Trump, are very unsteady right now. They're actually turning against each other, because all of these world leader authoritarian type people, they turn against each other eventually. There is no honor among thieves. So Putin goes out, then I see negotiations. Now, perhaps maybe the Donetsk will continue to be annexed. Perhaps Crimea will be rented to Russia for some period of time. But there will be real peace talks, real peace treaties that hold. There will be a time to rebuild and rethink and reconfigure their country. Timing, obviously, I am not good at it. So, but I would say once Putin is gone. This doesn't happen immediately because I see after Putin leaves, I see an authoritarian type leader come in. It could be a military person, it could be an oligarch, but it is somebody who has to shut the country down because the country is getting rowdy, raucous, and revolutionary. And that's not going to work. And the only way you can deal with that is to literally iron curtain shut it down to a police state until you can get things under control. I see that happening for some period of time. It could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be 5 years. But then I see the glasnost again, the opening of Russia back to Western values or more, just more commercialization. So that's kind of the way I see it unfolding. But the good news is, I mean, it's the best news that I have, is that I see Ukraine rebuilding and becoming, for some reason, I don't know why this is, but they always say this and they're saying it right now, is it's going to become the financial center of Europe. So it could be that Ukraine becomes some sort of financial hub. Um, I don't know why, I don't know how, that's just what they've always said. So there is a future for Ukraine, but it is dark right now. But my God, the heart and soul and courage that these people have, all of us that feel, and me that feel downtrodden and sad and depressed about our situation, I sometimes just think about Ukrainians. And I think, if they can do it, I can do it. And I'm not being bombed right now, right? So it's something to think about anyway. So let's move down to the comments because there's probably like 7,000 comments that are happening, but I don't. Right, just like Hitler went against Stalin. Exactly, exactly. So this thing is happening with Katnana, Saudi Arabia and Iran and Iraq and Afghanistan and Qatar and Egypt and Jordan and the whole freaking area is not stable, the guides are saying. And they're showing me, and I think I took chemistry in high school. I don't know if I passed it, but I did think I took it. But anyway, is it there's some they're talking, don't ask me why, but they're talking about chemistry. They're talking about inert, inert compounds that become volatile. So, you have this thing in this beaker and it's inert. Nothing is going to happen. But then all of a sudden you add something to it and it blows up. This is what they're talking about with Saudi Arabia, but also that entire region, including Qatar, Jordan, Kuwait, Iraq, Afghanistan, all of them, Egypt, all of them. It is unstable. And that is not good, you all, because you can't look, if all the countries are sort of agreeing, then you can predict. Our analyst can predict. Our analysts can go in and negotiate. But if all the countries are like against each other and you never know who's making a combination or a peace deal or a deal or a backroom deal, it's very hard to know what is going to happen. As you see, the guides are saying, as you see Iran go to the top, think about where Iran was 6 months ago. A footnote, an afterthought, right? Not at the table, not in any important tables. Now they're at the head of the most important table there is right now because we're all still on oil. So Iran now went to the top. That's not something anybody really thought would happen. So now all these other countries that are at the top are like, wait a minute, we have to negotiate with them. So that's causing power plays all up and down, all up and down. And I think eventually, yes. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I'm looking at Saudi Arabia right now, and they're going to have to, it feels to me like they're going to have to make a hard decision. Do we, as a Saudi Arabia, do we walk away from our allies, the United States, and make a new pact with these more now more powerful countries. This is the thing. And I'm good with it. Like, I mean, I'm good with that. But obviously big business, big corporations, they're not going to be good with that because their dollars, their ability to control the outcome, ExxonMobil, all these people, their ability to control the outcome is now at the bottom. This is why I keep telling y'all they're going to put a Democrat in office to smooth things over, to get things back on track. And it's going to be, it's going to feel better, but I believe it's going to be lipstick on a pig, as we say in the South. It's going to be, you put nice, tasty icing on a cardboard cake. It's not real, but it is kind of the best thing it's the best choice they have, because they certainly don't want a Mom Donnie kind of person in there. They want more of a corporate Democrat in there. Nobody supports Iran. Everybody hates Iran. That's the problem here, Leslie. Everybody hates Iran. But guess what? Iran has the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has the Saudis by their little, making them talking a really high voice. They have to negotiate. This is the whole point. They have the power. They have the power. We used to think power was a nuclear bomb. And we used to try to stop Iran from building a nuclear bomb. But in reality, all they had to do was cut off the Strait of Hormuz. And all of a sudden, all of us, the whole world is saying, hey, whoa, let's make a deal. So yeah, they don't like them. None of them, this is what I'm saying. None of them like each other. None of them do. But China is escalating, is selling them weapons. Yeah, so I don't talk a lot about a couple of countries because I don't need to be on the radar. So China is kind of one of those countries. China is arming Iran. China would arm anybody. They don't. So if China's locked out of the oil. They're locked out. So how do they get in? Well, all of a sudden there's a new player, a new king in town. So they go over there and suck up to them. And now all of a sudden China is your best friend. And Saudi Arabia, you don't like anymore. Do you see how this is destabilizing everything? And China will make deals with anybody. They have absolutely no scruples. They have no scruples. They'll make a deal with anybody, and they'll triple and quadruple cross you. They'll make a deal with you and make a deal against you and then make a deal against that person. They have the money to do it. Sometimes they just want to blow things up. Sometimes they just want to blow up the power structure so that when it's all this, and this is exactly right. I didn't say this about Ukraine, but I saw China waiting in the wings, because if you think about it, that whole country is going to need to be rebuilt. Everything, from the infrastructure to the buildings, everything. Guess who wants to rebuild it? Guess who wants to supply the concrete, the steel? Who wants to supply all the materials? China. China is truly a big problem for the world. And before Trump took office, China was kind of really not doing great. And because of all of this just complete, utter chaos, China's been able to take advantage of a lot of situations and improve their situation, improve their world dominance. They're very opportunistic. I can do it. So yeah. But what does all this mean? Let me also say something that's important for our country. Super important is, and I've said this before, but it's coming back around, so I'm going to say it again. I really feel like American automakers are going to go through hell and back, like through the ringer. I want you to visually think about being wrung out, being just American automakers. That means workers. So if you work in that segment, in any part of the segment, please take this as a warning and either get a second job now and start making money on the side. Make some decisions. What would I do if I lost my job? What would I do if I was laid off? This is coming next year because the Republicans are going to make a deal with China to bring Chinese autos here. I've predicted this months and months ago because I was a kid, but remember when the first foreign vehicles came here, the Datsun and the first foreign vehicles came here, and what a problem that was and all that stuff, right? So we've been protectionist for our countries. We don't want that kind of, yeah, we have Kia, we have South Korea, but we make them build their cars here. The Democrats said, you got to open up a Toyota, you got to open up a plant here. But I'm saying to you that I think China's just going to ship them over here. There's not going to be any competition. They're going to kill us. They're going to kill us. They're going to be high capacity batteries. It's just going to be a thing. So rather than talk about the world, I also want to help us understand that we all need to be thinking about our own situations, right? What would I do? How would I protect myself? What can I do now to make some extra money? Just kind of keep that in the top of your mind, wherever you are on that. Like you could be in a industry that you don't think is connected, and it might be connected. That's a kind of a good question. Sacred Spirit says, "What's up with North Korea?" Oh no, they're okay. So I just went into the energy. They're not quiet. They're not quiet. They're quiet because the only way we know anything about North Korea is when they shoot off their stupid missiles, right? That's when we know they're doing something. And what happens when a toddler gets really quiet? You know you're in trouble, right? When they're banging on the wall, it's irritating, but you know what they're doing. So when they shoot off the missiles, we know what they're doing. When they're quiet, that's when we should worry because they're super busy. They are 100% arming and helping Russia. They're 100% arming and helping other countries like Iran, even Iraq, Afghanistan, not Jordan, but there's a tribal or a religious sect that has a J in it. It's going to be really sad because they're going to go like Iran. They're going to go from this country that had no money, that their people were starving, that they had nothing. And they're going to have just an increase of money. And how are they going to use that, right? Like, how are they going to use that? Because let me tell you, these designs, this technology that's being developed is part of the payment, right? They don't care about their people. It's not like they're getting money to feed their people. They're getting technology. So that means they're going to have a great leap in technology. And I think we're going to be dealing with a North Korea that we never saw coming, that we never knew would be this way. And it's the same message, the same lesson, that here we are, the Democrats are like, oh, the election wasn't stolen, you're being a conspiracy theorist, oh, whatever. Well, you know what? The same thing goes to the whole world. If you're South Korea and you're not paying attention to this, it could be a real problem, right? So the problem is nobody's paying attention to these bullies. We're all just making excuses for them. Oh, they would never do this, or they probably won't do that. But we really need to pay attention. Thank you, moderators, for sharing my information. I appreciate it. China is in Africa and thriving 100%. So Every road that's in Africa, I think, has been paved by China, airstrips paved by China. Absolutely. And they'll get it. You know, they'll get their money through diamonds. They'll barter. They'll get any kind of money. You know what I mean? Like, they're communists. Nobody's checking their books. Nobody cares. You heard she was very ill. It doesn't, I mean, I want to say it doesn't matter because apparently they have somebody in the wings that's going to be a carbon clone. The thing about China is they think in generations. They don't think in 4 years, 8 years, 50 years. They think in this is our goal for the next 10 generations. So I don't see it being a big power vacuum. I feel like basically, maybe not exactly, but basically this person will continue with that same thought. Anita, how are you doing? When do I see the Dilly Center in Texas close? You know what I see? I see it moving. I see it. I think sometimes they're going to close these things as a diversion to say, look, we did what you wanted us to do. We closed it. What's your problem? But in reality, they moved it. Okay. These centers are getting a lot of heat. They're getting a lot of attention. Too much heat and too much tension. They cannot operate the way they want to, meaning they cannot come and go without protesters. It's better for them to just play musical chairs, move it over here, move it over there, move it over here. So my point is that even if it closes, it didn't close. It was put someplace else. I hate to say it. Then your next question might be, well, when will these detention centers close? I would say to all of us, because the guide said this the other day, and it frankly really pissed me off. So, look, how come the Democrats are not at least putting laws out there saying ICE can't do this? Now, here's the thing. Border Patrol has always had these rights for a long time. I think since, 9/11, Border Patrol has been able to pull you over without a due process, without a warrant, within 100 miles of the border. The difference is they didn't. The difference is we didn't have ICE. So now things have changed. So now, why aren't the Democrats saying, I have a bill. I have a bill that says ICE can't do this. I have a bill that says Border Patrol can't do this. I'm not hearing that. I'm not hearing anybody say, I put a bill forth. I got a co-sponsor. They can find one freaking Republican co-sponsor. They can find one. Look, even if it dies, that is something that you go to the American people and you say, I'm trying. Do you see me trying? I'm trying to do this. I have not heard that they're doing this. This is what we need done. We need the Democrats to start threatening these laws, at least trying to. Right. That's Gabby, that's how I got this message is I kept seeing that that time during the automakers where there was the threats and the destruction. I mean, Chrysler, right? Like even before that. So yes, you're right. You've been through it before. But my point is let's prepare for it. You know what I mean? Let's all prepare for some kind of thing so we have a little extra cash in the bank. It wouldn't be a bad thing. Especially if you're there in that, if your job is connected to that. Yeah, hit the like button. I appreciate you. Subscribe. That'd be awesome too. We do this every Friday, so I hope we see you again. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So maybe Relevant says the U.S. aid is gone, has opened the door for China to step in. They're spending money in Africa, giving them access to those critical minerals. Yep, exactly. And listen, if a country comes in, we all know this, if somebody saves your bacon, you're kind of gonna feel like you owe them a favor. You're gonna be like, hey man, I'm gonna get you next time, right? You got me this time, I appreciate it. I will help you next time. plus they've created the inner connections with all of these different tribal and governmental and sections of Africa, right? These different countries. So yeah, they're going to be sitting pretty when Africa gets money. And I'm going to say that Africa's been on my radar lately. The whole continent has been on my radar. And then they just said Chad to me. But I'm wondering if there's going to be new minerals, new rare minerals. Something's going to be discovered. Guess who's going to get that is China. Yeah. I would say they are different words, but you can be optimistically opportunistic. To be an opportunist, you have to be optimistic. The opportunist sees opportunity, and you're never going to see an opportunity unless you're optimistic, right? Those people who are cynical aren't looking for opportunities. So yeah, they are different words, but they are optimistic and opportunistic. The Republicans, D show says, will the Republicans be voted out? Won't Democrats be the majority in both houses? I think they will, but I don't know that they're going to have like a super majority. So I don't think they're going to have a voting block that's going to be absolutely bulletproof. Okay. So it might be that yes, we have a majority, but maybe not quite enough to do everything we want to do. Plus the people that are going to be in leadership. So you may have some very more liberally conscious minded Democrats in there, but the leadership is going to be those Nancy Pelosi's, those Jeffries, even in Nancy's not there. I'm just saying that ilk, that kind of mindset, the Jeffrey Pelosi's, the Chuck Schumers, all those people who have this very different viewpoint of how the Democratic Party is going to operate. And that's going to hamstring us from doing the things that people like Mamdani are doing, who is not waiting for anybody to tell him what to do. He's just doing it, which is incredible. Really, really, really incredible. It's like to see somebody do so much in 6 months when we have senators and reps that have been in there for 6 years or decades and still can't do those things. So yeah, let's see what else we're talking about here. Thanks, everybody. Will there be consequences for the horrors committed by ICE? Yes, I have seen this and I have said this, and I feel like the guides are not backing down on this. I don't think the energy is wishy-washy. I don't think the energy is subject to change. So what I see is these people. Well, yeah, okay. So the guides just said the people, we are videoing them. There's this thing called Crust News, CRUST. They're not in the United States. This is the only way they can do it. They have a whole dossier. We video them and take pictures, we send it to them, they identify them, and they're keeping an entire list of these people, because guess what, when the time comes, here's your evidence. We are now the inspectors, we are now the media, we're everybody, we're the people who are going to get the justice. And the guides are saying we're not going to let this go, we're going to be a dog with a bone kind of energy here. And they've always showed me how, from the beginning, they've always showed me this video in my mind of some sort of Nazi person living in Argentina or wherever and getting arrested when they're 85 years old. Yeah, maybe they lived for 50 years on the lam, but at 85, you're not letting these people off the hook. You're arresting them as senior citizens, which means we've been hunting you. We're going to hunt you for 50 years. This is the same energy. We're going to hunt you. And it's not even going to take 50 years, because once it's sort of like, how your stomach, the guides are using this term, your stomach turns, you get a sour stomach, all of a sudden your stomach gets nauseous. This is the United States. We all of a sudden get nauseous. It's like critical mass. We hit some kind of level that doesn't have any real meaning. It's not like something happened. It's just enough of it has happened in our consciousness. And now all of a sudden, we're not even disgusted, we're horrified, and we're going to get justice. Because if we don't get justice, it means we're monsters too. And I can't be a monster. Therefore, I can't co-sign this. I didn't co-sign this, but you're making me look like I did because I'm a citizen. So now I'm going to have to go after you. Their girlfriends, their grandmothers. Do you remember that kid that turned in his father at Jan 6? This is what I'm talking about. You might be sitting in a barber shop 5 years from now, feeling like you're free and easy and say something, and the barber's over there reporting you. They will never know a moment's peace because we will never let them know a moment's peace because we are not monsters. So that's what that's the consequences. Now, in the short term, I do see a tribunal. I see court cases. I see, sort of like Jan 6, that whole thing that happened in Congress. I see this. And it happens all the time. It's not even like it's a big headline. It's because it's every day, every week. It's just like the gears of justice are just churning and churning and grinding those people up. And it's just going to happen week after week after week. And it's going to be old news. We're not even going to be learning about it. It's just going to be a thing every week. Another one goes down. Yes, they're going to get their justice. Maybe not enough, you know what I mean? Like when you really think about it, what is justice for this kind of thing? Cat Mom says, what's the deal with the bunker at the White House? What do they have planned? Well, the first thing they have planned is a grift. Even whatever they did to the reflection pool, that was a grift. They paid one of the people who knew them. Everything is money laundering. So the wall in Mexico was money laundering. Everything is a way to cover up the money that's coming and going. They need something to hide the money behind. So this thing is a money laundering thing. I don't think it's ever going to get built. I don't think the White House is going to be where the president stays anymore. I think the White House is going to be, the guides just said a crime scene. The guides just called it a crime scene. But I mean, it is kind of a crime scene if you think about it, right? It actually is a crime scene. So it might be roped off. So I don't think they're going to build that. Also, since you asked that, I want to say JD, he gets a free residency, the naval quarters, whatever it is the VP stays at. Well, he's decided to also rent 2 houses on this 500-acre tract of land where there are some other houses, but he's renting 2 of them, one for him and his family and one for his security detail. Now, why do you need to be in a 500 acres? I mean, how much is 500 acres, right? So he has put himself away from people because he's scared, because they're coming for him, because none of these people are protected, because they're all fighting against each other. Like I said about the Middle East, everybody's turning against each other. It's the same thing with JD. His people are turning against him. He cannot trust any of those people. When do we like Mamdani? Like when do we live like Mamdani? Maybe if that's what your question is. This is fascinating to me too, because I can't believe they haven't removed him in some way, because he's a real threat. He's really teaching us what is possible. But I think too, there's like so many Mamdanis, female, male Mamdanis coming up. It's going to be by degrees. The guides are saying by degrees. But we have a lot of work to do, because a lot of the Democrats, even in the Pacific Northwest, even in the blue states, they're bought and paid for. So we have a lot of work to do, but we're going to chip at it. We're going to make progress. We are going to make progress. Linda says, will Wisconsin's governor race be won by a Democrat It's tight right now. It feels tighter than maybe it looks. I don't know if I can call it. I want to say blue. I want to say blue, but I also feel like it's blue, but then at the last minute that gets stolen, or it gets like they find votes, or it feels like some shenanigans could happen. But I think that also, if it goes red, there could be a challenge or a recall. So it doesn't feel, like a solid red win. It feels like a steal and then a challenge. So, but there's good energy around blue. So I can't really call it right now, but there's keep doing what you're doing because it's working. Um, Mark says, "Hi, Susan. I live in Stefani's district. I know it's been awful. Does the dim in the race have a chance to now flip it?" I think yes. I feel like yes. I don't know who that is. Um, Stefani is in trouble, and there's sort of a race against time, a race against time. There's some things that are going to be coming out about her that are even more egregious or whatever. Some things are going to come out and we're going to be like, this is what broke, like, what about all these other things? But it's sort of the straw that breaks the camel's back. It doesn't always make sense, but there's things coming out. She's trying to win the race before they come out. It's just a race to see if she can secure it before these things come out. But I don't think she's going to win. I think that things are going to come out before, possibly in something in August, something also big in October, like the October surprise. And I'm not saying 100%, you all, but right now she could step down a la Swalwell. How Swalwell stepped down in California, she could step down in October. It could be that damaging. It could be allegedly for entertainment purposes only, something along the lines of treason or sympathizing with the enemy. If you look up the definition for treason, there's something that says about fraternizing with the enemy or giving aid to the enemy. That's kind of the language I'm seeing here. So rather than a la Swalwell, rather than do this in the public opinion, court of public opinion, she would step down and do this in private. Why? Because it's important to keep the party out of it, right? If she does it in public, the whole party goes down with her. If she does it in private, she goes down. And also, they think that they get a better deal. Maybe they do. I don't know. Let me go down here to the bottom of the comments. Thanks everybody for joining me. Jasmine Crockett did not endorse. One thing that I like about I love Jasmine. I'm a huge Jasmine fan, but I will say to you, this is important. I don't know what it means exactly, but she is super involved in social media right now. She's always been, but look, she's a lame duck, congressperson. She doesn't have any reason, but she's on social media helping her constituents. Hey, you're in my district. I saw your post. They're not even tagging her. I don't even know how she's finding the post. Or somebody will be talking about her and she'll pop in and give an opinion, like really being on the people's level, like not, I don't know. It's very interesting. It's got to mean something. I mean, I know she's a good-hearted person and she cares about her people. So I know that, but it means something. Just keep your eye on her. She's doing to do something. Oh, and this is a really good point, Allison. So I was asking, how big is 500 acres? It's Disneyland. So if you've been to Disneyland, where you have to have a train to get across, whatever, then you understand that JD is living in basically Disneyland with, I think, 4 houses. I think there's like 4 or 5 houses in 500 acres. I do think we should call our representatives. I know it sounds or it feels like it doesn't work, but it does work. Believe me, if their phones are lighting up, they may not do exactly what you want, but they will make a little bit better deal or give a little less concession. It does make a difference. And remember, this isn't a sprint. We're not sprinting. If you run in for everything you got, you're not going to make it to the end of this. This is call on Tuesday, take 3 days off social media, then get back on social media, then go to a town hall, then get off social media. This is a balancing. We have to balance this. This is a long haul thing, and we have to be involved, but we also have to take time off and do fun things, and that is 100% warranted. You have a soldier on the front lines in a war, they take them out and give them rest and relaxation. Okay? If a soldier on the war can go get rest and relaxation, we can too. Okay? Yeah, and I'm not saying 500 acres is impenetrable, but it certainly is a lot harder to get into than, say, a house in the middle of the block. So there's a reason. Yeah, I think so too, son of what, that the house will actually be a hazmat incident. Right. I agree with you. I mean, if you have allegedly fentanyl and drugs just lying around, that ends up making the place, you know, a hazmat situation, right? So yes. Plus, God only knows the poo-poo stains. God only knows, right? What's going on there. Um, yeah, yeah. JD's afraid of everybody, honestly. I think he's really afraid of everybody. Um, see what Patricia is saying. I haven't read this, but the guides are, how close is the day when Putin is out of power? Will he just go naturally or have a little help? He's not going to go naturally. I mean, even if it's natural, it'll be helped. So that's a really good question. So I just looked at his sort of lifeline, and I run like a movie down your life. Like, so I just run the tape down your life. And there's a potential for him to live a longer life. There it could be that he could live a longer life, but right now when I'm in his body, my chest is hurting. My heart is hurting. Um I literally have physical pain right now in my body. So he is not well. Um and his country is known for utilizing poison that mimics a heart attack. And I know he's very afraid of being poisoned. He's very afraid of being offed. Um, and right now, there's bad blood between him and BB. There's bad blood between him and BB. So somebody's going to take somebody out, I think. And I've always seen all three of them connected. So if one goes, it won't be too long before the next one and the next one go. Like, it's not going to be 5 years. It could be months, it could be days, or it could be a year. But it's pretty close. Like bam, bam, bam. I've always seen that with the three of those. Oh, that's it. Yeah, Raymond. Raymond says, "Who makes," or I probably Shakespeare says, "Who makes the fairest show means the most deceit." Yep, that's the truth. Will Maine overthrow Collins? I think they will. That energy has been unstable. Sometimes she's up, sometimes she's down. Mainers are pretty over her. And they kind of like that guy, Doug, whatever his name is. And she has the same energy that Grassley has, which is Grassley was ready to be gone. Grassley was like, I'm retired, I'm out, I'm not running again. And then the powers that be said, you will run again. We own you and we'll tell you when you can retire. So he had to run again. This is Collins. Collins wants out. She's done with this. She's done. It's exhausting. She's elderly. Um, so I think Maine will overthrow Collins. If they don't, she's going to get in and step out. She's going to get in and step out. I don't know what Maine's laws are around that, but um, we're all tired, Joni. I understand. We are all tired. Um, I haven't seen Jamie Rashkin's game show. We'll all have to check it out. Jamie is one of our shining stars. Yep. Question. Let's see. Mary says, I heard that Barron is hiding because he doesn't want to testify about the Tate brothers. What is your energy about him? I read about this a week or two ago, but it has changed because the Tate brothers are. What did the guides tell me the other day? They said that the Tate brothers are worth more money than to them as a pawn. Okay, so there's a price on their head. This administration is going to get something for getting rid of them. It's worth more than they could get if they kept them because everything's about money. So now they're going to get more than likely they're going to get extradited and not be allowed to escape or something. So now that puts a lot of pressure on Barron because these other countries are the ones that are doing the justice. It won't happen here, but it is happening in other countries. When I just went into Barron's energy, here's what I got, allegedly, insider trading. I think the SEC, something is going to happen, and we're going to get some teeth back into the SEC, and they're going to go after Barron. You know that guy? Who's that guy? Oh, Winkle. No, the guy Sam, somebody who's in prison next to Diddy. That guy that was the whiz kid, they showed me Sam, who's in prison. So that means that actually Barron could face some consequences. But I've also always seen Barron. Melania wants him out of the country. She wants him in a different. Sam Bankman-Fried. Thank you. She's always thought he needs to be out of this country. He needs to be in another country where you can bribe your way to security. And so if she can get him out, she will, but he doesn't want to leave. He's not listening to her. She would have already had him gone. So for them to show me Sam, dude, thank you for sharing his name. That means he's in more trouble than he was. And this is different than I've read before. The energy is changing as these people realize we can't pull this off. We are not going to pull this off. Now that we know we're not going to pull this off, how do we stay out of prison? How do we stay alive? This is where they are now. So now they're making deals. Remember, the guides said they would start rebranding? Remember, the guides always said they're going to rebrand. Here they are. They're starting to change allegiances. They're starting to make new allegiances, and they're going to try to stay out of prison. So if they can give up one of the boys, the Trump boys, I've always seen the little one, the younger one, holding the bag because he's the one who signs a lot of the financial stuff. I think we could see a lot of justice. They want to placate us. They know we're ready to boil. We're ready to revolutionize. We're ready to make universal health care happen. We're ready for reparations. We're ready for more social security. We're ready. We're ready. So what are they going to do is throw water on us and say, okay, calm down. Calm down. We arrested this person. We arrested that person. Justice is happening. See, they're going to throw us some bones so that we'll calm down. That's why we're going to win the midterms right there in a short answer. That is why. Eric, thank you. I can never, some reason I cannot remember his name. I mean, I don't want to remember his name, but yeah, Eric. Zane says, what I don't understand is why hasn't the UK initiated extradition of the Tates? The longer British authorities wait, the higher chances Trump and company start interfering and pull some tomfoolery. Absolutely, 100%. But you have to remember that, I don't know if you're a UK citizen, but you have to remember that they're not all on the up and up either. Stalmer just left out, which I predicted. The Royals are under scrutiny. There are deals. Also, we have something they want. There's a deal being made. Something has to be. This administration is about quid pro quo, and you better believe they're asking for a price. You better believe, right? So what can the British, what can Parliament, what can they actually give us that stays out of the news, that doesn't make them look bad? So this is why it's taking so long, because they're getting pressure. Again, it's the same pressure. Everybody wants justice. Bring these men back so they can face justice. Parliament's getting pressure, but they have to work with a crazy MFer in our White House. So this is why. It's just a bunch of like backroom dealing that's happening. It's not simple. It's not like what would happen 3 or 4 years ago, with Biden. It's not like that at all. You're dealing with an authoritarian, crazy person who's not sane. I do think Jared Kushner is going to be held accountable. Whether or not he's held accountable to our liking, I don't know. He could simply have to pay a lot of money. I mean, there's lots of ways. Justice works in lots of ways. It could be a civil thing versus a criminal thing. I don't think he goes to prison. I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong about that. I think he has a higher potential for going to cross over a la Khashoggi than he does going to prison. Because again, thieves have no honor. There's no honor among thieves. And Yvonne says, what's going to happen with the 50% tariffs that Trump recently put on Canada? Jesus Christ. Well, I mean, in the end, it's going to make Canada a much better country, because Canada is going to make better deals with everybody. It's going to further isolate us from Canada, and it's going to further create more cover for Carney to go to China, go to whoever, anybody, make deals. And we're, every time this happens, we become a hollowed out husk. And really what's happening here is the United States is being corporate raided. If you've ever heard of corporate raiders, they buy companies, they get a majority stake of 52% or whatever, and then they start voting. They start controlling the company. They start draining the profits out. They lay off all the workers. So what do? Is they get all the money. They suck the company dry, and they leave nothing but a husk. And more often than not, the company goes away. It cannot survive that. Sometimes other sort of, people like that are also ne'er-do-wells, they will buy that company. But this is what's happening with the United States. We're being drained. We're corporate raided. They're sucking all the profit out of us. And then they're just going to walk away and hand it to the Democrats. And then the Democrats are going to have to try to appease us. Calm down, everybody. Calm down. We're in charge. We're going to get through this. But I see us out there with pitchforks and torches. It's not going to work. We're not going to be appeased. So Canada, yes, it's going to be hard on Canada. Of course, it's going to be hard on Canada, but Canada's already been screwed over 9 ways to Sunday by us, and Carney knows what to do. He's he may not be Mamdani, he may not be super liberal, but I think he's the right man for Canada for this time, and I think he's going to save Canada's ass. Is what I really think. So yeah, will these really go into effect? I don't think so, but it doesn't matter because Carney's going to go ahead and pretend like they are because he has to. If somebody pulls a gun out, you've got to treat them like that's what's happening. So I think these will Taco. He'll walk them back, but it doesn't matter because these countries don't want to play Russian roulette with us. We can't keep putting a gun to their head and then saying, "Oh, just kidding." It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's extremely frustrating for all of us. But that's why I said these countries, all these countries are being put in these abysmal, horrible situations by this orange cretin. Sooner or later, somebody's going to take him out because, like he's too much of a bad guy. And it's not going to require a war because it's not the United States, it's him. So they just need to, get a little something going on. For real. So let's see. And he does look like it's a potential that there is an attack on him. I think I talked about this earlier. I don't know. I'm channeling. So I'm not sure that he's going to. There's a chance that he survives it. Or he's incapacitated yet survives it. The reason Seascape people haven't taken out Miller is because he's powerful. He's powerful. He's in the White House. He's in the White House. If you want something from this huge country with all this money, then you need to have an in. Your in might be Rubio. Your in might be Miller. Your in might be, well, JD is not an in because nobody likes him, but you need an in, right? So Miller is like the cockroach that you can't kill because they fly in your hair or something. You know what I mean? Like you start to step on them and they get loose. Now, I'm not saying he's going to live forever, but I'm saying that, he's protected, yeah, by a pillar of evil. Exactly. That's exactly right. 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 Weekend at Mitch's. Exactly. We've said weekend at Bernie's for 45 for a long time. As a matter of fact, this whole thing with Mitch is a dry run, right? And we've talked about how Princess Kate, when she disappeared for months and months and months, and they trotted out a fake Kate, and then they trotted out a fake video. These things are all trial runs because they know that they're going to have to conceal it while they cover it up or they make changes or whatever it is that they're doing. Andy Bashir talking about the bourbon. He's got more problems than bourbon, but yeah, 100%. Because Canada's not buying Kentucky bourbon, and Canada was a huge, probably the biggest client of our bourbon, and it just stopped overnight because Canada said no. We're going to say no to the USA. I'm telling you, these people go to the store and they read the ingredient list, and if there's any USA anywhere, they put it back on the shelf and walk away. That's how pro Canada they are. Oh God, that would be funny as hell. Linda G, according to Rabia, says Linda G had a dream terrorist took 45 hostage in the White House and he was whining like a baby. 100%. I've seen attacks on the White House. I've seen bombings on the White House. I predicted that the White House would be damaged. It is. I 100% still see an attack on the White House. Karen Edinger says, is JD still connected to Peter Thiel? Peter Thiel left, abandoned, left, ran away, went to Argentina. Why? Because look at the Tate brothers. Because even after we get through this next, several months to a year, people like him are going to start getting extradited. They're all criminals. So yes, he left to Argentina, and is he still connected to Teal? Because JD was the puppet of Teal. Teal made JD? This is very accepted knowledge that Peter Teal grabbed JD and made him into this person who then became the VP. So is he? Yes, yes, Karen. They're saying he's still doing Peter Thiel's bidding. But so I went to the energy from JD to Teal. Now I'm going from Teal to JD. Teal is disappointed in JD. Teal is extremely disappointed in JD. He did not carry out his mission. He's a failure. Teal does not like JD, but JD is still trying to suck up to Teal. I'm a Kamala Harris fan, X-Men. I have always been a Kamala Harris fan, and I'm still a Kamala Harris fan. She's not a Mamdani. She's more of a centrist, or a whatever you want to call it. But I would put her in the White House tomorrow, if I could. I think that she has all the things that I'm looking for in a leader. She's compassionate. She's brilliant. She was a prosecutor. She understands justice. Circle back around to compassionate. I feel like we need that, right? We need those combinations of things in a president. And she's visionary. Yeah, I'm a fan. I don't think that, even though she's a little bit more centrist than maybe I am right now, because I think I slid more liberal, more towards Mamdani, I would still vote for her. I'm going to vote for the Democrat. Look, if they put Andy Bashir, I'm going to vote for him. I'm going to vote for the Democrat. It's better than a Republican. And then we're going to keep pressure on that Democrat. We're going to keep pressure on the Democrats. We can't just vote and forget. We have to stay involved and engaged. We're going to create more groups, because many hands make light work. So we're going to create more local Democrat groups, or maybe not even Democrat. They might just be political action groups that show up at the Republicans, that show up at the Democrats, that show up at the independents. We're going to create these groups, because again, we can't feel isolated. That doesn't work. We're not supported. We want to go somewhere and be able to talk shop. We want to go somewhere and be able to cry or laugh or celebrate. So we're going to create more groups, and those groups are going to be very active locally, statewide, and nationally. And I don't know that they're going to be Democratic groups, but we're all going to vote, hopefully, for the lesser of the two evils. That's the important thing. Staying home or voting for a third party that has no chance of winning is throwing away your vote. The important thing is get them in office and then ride them till they're just beat down. Never let them have a moment's peace. Meet them at the airport. Meet them at the town hall. Never let them have a moment's peace. This is the new version of us, the activist era. Kind of like maybe the 1960s. I wouldn't, Linda says, would you liken digital ID to slavery? I wouldn't liken it to slavery. It's not slavery, in my opinion. You can understand that there's a sharecropper is not a slave. It's more to me like a sharecropper. Like the guides have talked about this for years. The company towns, how when you were a miner, mining whatever, coal, whatever, your town was owned by the mining company. If you needed new clothes, guess who sold them to you? The mining company. If you needed to rent a house or a room to sleep, you got it from the mining company. You need to go buy dinner, you got it from the mining company. This is the monopoly, okay? This is the monopoly. And this is what I see they want to do with this digital ID. They want to monopolize it. Also, I read something today, and I'm going to tell you that I read a book, and if I could find this author or this book, I would be so happy. But it was probably 30 years ago. And I'm going to describe the book. We'll put you guys to work. It was like a science fiction book. It was written by a man. I think it was written by a white guy, just because I think the name sounded. But anyway, in this book, you wore a thing around your neck, like on a lanyard, and this thing connected to all the light posts, like flock cameras we have now. And this thing said what your credit score was. That's all it said, your credit score. If your credit score was low, the police would harass you. You couldn't even go in certain places. It was a whole class system based on your credit score. Okay. This is what they're doing with the ID, digital ID, because if you have a low credit score, they're going to okay, so their guides are saying surge pricing. Have you heard about that? So, like maybe right after school, grocery prices go up. You got a mom or dad who's like, I got to just get something before I go home. You're exhausted. Your kids are crying. You're going to pay the higher price. Okay. Price gouging, but they're calling it surge pricing. It's already here. It's already working. If you go at 9 in the morning when nobody's there, the price is the lowest. If you go at midnight when you're desperate, the price is the highest. Okay. This is how they're going to control us. It's not slavery. It's more like having a sharecropper mentality of everything I own goes to this one person, and I can't break out of it. I don't know. I don't know. That's what I'm getting, but maybe this is how I would describe it. And maybe when I have more information, I might change my name. I don't know, change my viewpoint. Well, Pansy Scott, let's see what this says. Mary says, will Pansy Scott Besant, one who will squeal like a pig to keep him out of prison, will he be the one who squeal like a pig? Right now, if you squeal like a pig, you're going to be McConnelled and Grahammed. You're going to be let go from your life job. Okay, so there's no protection for these people. Okay, there's no protection for them. If you squeal like a pig to the DOJ is corrupt. So there's no way, there's no protection. If they could get outside of the country, they might have a better chance. But I don't see that either, really. That's such a good point. Above, below. Kamala had too much joy for most people. God, those were the days, weren't they? Right. Yep. This is the question of the hour. Maywena says, will Andy Beshear, who's the governor of Kentucky, will he appoint a replacement for Mitch McConnell in time? I just keep seeing Andy Beshear playing cards. He's playing his cards. He's been dealt the cards. He says this Kentucky state constitution allows him to appoint somebody. So he said, you never changed the Kentucky state constitution. You changed the law. Okay. So there's a discrepancy there. So he's saying, I have rights by the Kentucky state constitution to do this. But right. So it doesn't matter because it'll just go to the courts, and the Republicans will bring it all the way to the Supreme Court. It's not like he can do, even if he appoints somebody, which he should, the Republicans will challenge it and take it to the Supreme Court. Andy Beshear is saying, I want to run for president. Am I going to be able to run for president if Kentuckians or if other people think that I didn't follow the law. He's kind of in a rock, between a rock and a hard place. If he didn't care about running for president, he could do the thing. He could do the thing. But he's trying to balance his career, his aspirations. Also, he thinks I can help the country. Is the country really going to be helped if I'm not there to help it? So this is just what he's thinking. And I would say, I feel like no matter what happens, it's going to go to the court system, and there's just no rule by fiat here. There's just no, authoritarian, I'm right, and that's the way it's going to be, because it's going to go to the courts. Thanks everybody for joining. Oh, you're enjoying your Marcus saying, I'm enjoying my Canadian maple whiskey. I love it. I love it. I love that. Look, I'm an American saying, don't buy our shit. Don't come, don't visit, we deserve this. We just need to take our medicine. And the faster we get our medicine, the faster we can get better. So that's kind of how I think about it. Yeah, there's more destruction in the White House, Silver Fox. I agree with Linda. There's more destruction in the White House. I'm not sure that it's really going to be standing. And I've always seen them meeting more and more at, now it went out of my brain, but the place that is the Camp David. I've seen them meeting more and more at Camp David. For all the things y'all have talked about, it's a hazmat place. You can't be there because it's not safe. It's not safe structurally. It's been bombed. It's been fire. I've seen all these potential outcomes for the White House. None of these things necessarily mean they're going to happen. Think about little balls all around, and one of them is going to drop. One of them is going to become the reality. They're potentials. Thank you guys for supporting each other in the comments too. I really appreciate that. Yeah, he can still pull strings from Argentina, and he is pulling strings from Argentina, but he does not like JD. He's very disappointed in JD, which makes sense. I mean, nobody likes him. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you guys are right. Kamala Harris is certainly more of a progressive than 90% of the Democrats in office right now, for sure. I agree. I don't know if she would be a Mamdani, but I definitely think she's to the left of most people. What does this say? JZS says, Susan, I saw something about Jared's brother being so involved in some shady business deals as well. I can't. Oh, right. Yeah. Jared's brother just gave me a. God, that family's evil, y'all. They're like professional evils. Okay. Jared's brother being involved in shady business deals. Yes. He's trying like hell to stay out of the sun. I see him dodging, like trying to stay out of the spotlight, the news, out of the press. He is Jared's middleman. He makes deals. He shows up. I mean, he doesn't want a picture taken of him. That's the kind of, he goes to great lengths to try to not be noticed or seen. But yes, he's in deep. He's in deep. And, involved also with Israel, and the Middle East. He's not doing too much with China, but he's doing stuff with Qatar. He's doing stuff in the Middle East. Not good stuff. Ranked choice voting. My guides have been talking about ranked choice voting. Hey, I'm learning here, says, what about it? My guides have been talking about ranked choice voting for months and months and months. And I think it's coming. I think we're going to have ranked choice voting before we get rid of the other parts of it that we don't like. So yeah, I've never done it. I've never lived in a place that had it. all I can tell you is my guides feel like it's more fair than what we have now by a lot, actually. Um, it would be a dream. I mean, we just went down the worst possible timeline with without having Kamala. The worst possible timeline. I mean, the worst. This is the worst. Um, right. I like Bashir. I'm telling you guys, watch this guy, Governor Bashir in Kentucky. He is just to the left of, I think, mainstream Democrat policies. Um, and he's sensible. He's a white guy, which apparently people want a white guy. I do not want a white guy, but whatever at this point. You know, I'm sick and tired of these MFers. You know what I mean? So if America will only elect a white guy, then for the love of God, let's get one that's freaking normal. And I think he is normal. And the fact that he's from Kentucky, he's really, my guides keep saying, just watch him. Just he's playing on the outside, but he's a contender. He's a contender. I think he might be decent. I'm not going to be thrilled like I would be if it was, no 10,000 people is going to be filling an airplane hangar. That's for sure. He's no Barack Obama, but he could at least get it done and steward us through this BS, right? That's kind of where we are. I guess we can't have that kind of joy and charisma anymore. So yeah. Um, Anything else you guys want to talk about? I'm glad to see so much support for Kamala Harris. We were big supporters. I was a big supporter. Um, that's such a good question or good statement, Karen. Karen says, I hope Americans understand that social democracy is the norm in most first world countries, nothing new. Some of us understand it that have passports, but the problem is that these MAGAs don't have passports, and they have been brainwashed, steadily brainwashed, um, and they're racist. I mean, the bottom line is, honestly, they're just racist, right? And they don't want Black people to get something that they get. They don't want that. So it's horrible. It's really horrible. I think what's going to change their minds is healthcare, when they can't get healthcare. You know what I mean? That's an equalizer, right? Like I need healthcare, and if the only way I can get healthcare is if other people can get healthcare that don't look like me, then okay, I guess I'll do it. Is kind of how I think that they might do that. Um, what is Zane saying here? If anything, digital currency is why the push to get rid of physical money. One of the last bastions of P2P transaction privacy. It's the one thing I miss about Japan. Physical dollars is an honor exchange. Well, one thing about digital currency is there's fraud. You can actually defraud digital currency. It's whatever people say about blockchain, there's there's whole accounts that go missing. It's not, you don't have your money in your hand. It's yeah, it's a way to hide. Look, if I make the currency and I'm a crook, then I'm going to make the currency so that I can hide my deeds, right? So that's kind of what and they want to own the bank. Remember, Trump wants to be his own company town. He wants to own the bank. He wants to own the hospital. He wants all the money to come to him. The Republicans just wanted all the money to go to the corporations. Trump wants all the money to come to him. That's the difference here, too. This whole thing sounds like a Ray Bradbury story. I mean, I read 1984 and um, I read all of those books, and I can't believe I'm living them. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is a really good point that I didn't even, if I knew, I didn't consciously know. Tyler says, crazy, before 1989, you could buy a house without a credit score. They didn't exist. Credit scores did not exist before 1989. 1989. And now your car insurance is higher if your credit score is not high enough. You know, another thing that they control you with, you can pay $3,000 a month in rent, but it doesn't help your credit score. Rent should help your credit score. If you're paying your rent, that should make your credit score go up, right? It's just all these, it's funny money. The guides are saying this is funny money. They're manipulating the entire economy. It's not real. It's all built for them, for their own grifting. Right. I don't shop much anyway, but I haven't been to Walmart. Walmart e-ink price tags. Electronic ink. What does that mean? Well, your carrots are now 50 cents more. An hour from now, they might be 10 cents less. A surge pricing. It should be illegal. Why aren't the Democrats writing laws that says surge pricing should be illegal? That surge pricing is price gouging. Why aren't they writing laws? Even if there's no hope for them to go through, they should be writing laws. They should be stacking laws up like wood before the winter. That's what they should be doing. Brave New World, Isaac Asimov, all of those books, plus a lot of Black authors and Malcolm X and all the books. I have not read it because I don't think I can handle it, but a Black author woman wrote Parable of Sower, Sower. I think she wrote it in 10 or 15 years ago. And it apparently is literally written like a premonition. Like she never called herself psychic or anything, but her books are literally premonitions about what's happening. So if you want to read that Parable of Sower, I'm sure somebody will share the information in the chat. I can't read things that are so realistic. It's like that I just can't. But if you like that kind of thing, you might be interested in that book and that author. Oh, is Trump having a medical procedure at Camp David? They're saying, ooh, and I'm going into my lower GI and my bowel resection. I don't know what a resection is. Cutting something out is bad. It's really bad. So yeah, there have been medical procedures in Camp David. I think he had a bowel resection. Also something with, look at my face. My face is like, oh, that's hilarious. Also something with his, I'm trying to decide what term YouTube will allow me to say, but something with his PP, maybe his ureter or something like that. Yes, he continues to have medical procedures in places that are not hospitals. Because when the president has like surgery suites on Air Force One, there's surgery suites everywhere. He might be getting kidney dialysis. Yep, I agree. I'm scrolling. Thanks everybody for hanging out with me tonight. It's Friday Night Live with Susan Lynn. While my finger is scrolling through all your comments, I wish I could read all of them, but we have 4,700 people here, so it's kind of hard to do that. Harris for Supreme Court. I think she wants, I'm not saying she would turn it down. Why did they just show me Obama? Okay, then let's do that. Let's talk about Obama for Supreme Court because I'm just telling you what they told me. because he's bored, y'all. He's bored. He's done made movies. He's got his presidential center. He's too young. He's too young to be put out to the field. Like, he's too young. He's not good. You can't just put him out the pasture. He needs to do something. So I have never really seen him being on the Supreme Court before, but I'm telling you now I do. I'm going to tell you now I do. Now, when we go to Kamala and the Supreme Court, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but she's a prosecutor. She doesn't want to just write um, opinions. She wants to help people. She wants to get in the community and help people. She reminds me of Jasmine Crockett. Like I said earlier, Jasmine is like, hey, you're in my district, call this person, do this. Like, she's literally helping people. And that's how Kamala Harris is. She wants to help people. So she might run for Senate, she might run for president, she might run for governor, but she wants to be more involved in helping people and not with making laws or setting the tone of the country. But man, sure, Obama came in strong. Marcy, it's not really off topic. We've talked a lot about China. China, you're asking, is China harassing the Philippines? Whatsoever future do you see between the relationship of the Philippines? I do. Look, China's harassing everybody because they're like Iran. They got all the power now. When you have the power, you've got to get more power because you may not have it. These people, this power is everything to these types of countries. So of course, China's got power now. So you better believe they're going to harass Taiwan, Philippines, even South Korea, Japan. They're going to harass everybody. They're harassing India, is what the guides just said. They're going to harass everybody because they want to be number one. See, the problem is United States, for good or worse, or whether it was true or not, we were number one. We are not number one. So now everybody's vying for that world domination. Who's going to get it? Who's going to do it? Europe doesn't care. Germany doesn't want to be number one. Canada doesn't want to be number one. They don't care. China wants to be number one. India wants to be number one. Saudi Arabia wants to be number one. Russia wants to be number one. Those countries care. So they're going to be bullies. They're going to be very aggressive in trying to prove to everybody, you better be on my side because I'm going to be number one and I'm going to remember you. So yes, 100% they are doing that. I hope Musk does get rid of the Republicans because that means there's more Democrats. That's fine. Go for it. I think it's going to be a different world, all good names taken. Your question or your statement is, I like Bashir, who's the governor of Kentucky, but Trumplicans will cream him. They call him a loser. And where is he? You're looking at a different land in 2028. This is a whole different scenario. I mean, a completely different scenario. Even by the midterms of this year, it's going to be a different scenario. And then after the midterms, we have a year of this kind of fraught, this kind of Republicans and Democrats sort of wrestling, but really the Democrats are going to be having more power because by 27, we're really going to be feeling these crazy things. A lot of the things that the Republicans voted on and some Democrats voted with them are not enacting. They're not becoming enacted until 2027. So 2027 is going to be rough. And if Democrats are in Congress, they're going to be held accountable. And by 28, you're going to have a wholesale tilt towards Democrats. And then the question's going to be, the fight is going to be, do we want corporate Democrats, traditional Democrats, or do we want these wild Mamdani Democrats? So that's going to be the new fight. It won't be about Republicans and Democrats. I don't think it'll be about Democrats and Democrats. And then you'll have that thing you're talking about, except for it'll be liberal Democrats saying, you're too commercial. You're too, you know, you're not liberal enough. You're not going to do enough. So you're right about that, but it might be coming from his own team. So we have some pretty big changes coming ahead. Really big changes. Oh, this is such a good question. Karen Love says, what do I see about the future of AI? Well, I can tell you, the spirit guides have said from the beginning, the horse is out of the barn. You're not putting that toothpaste back in the tube. It won't go. What we need to do is regulate the hell out of it. We need to put laws up. We need to have regulations that have real teeth. We need to get rid of these data centers. We need to probably make them government owned, and then also make regulations about how they're run. Because AI is not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. I'm telling you right now, it's not. So the question is, how do we use it? How do we allow it to be used? How do we educate our youth about using it? How do we educate our citizens about using it? It's really about taking a place of power with it instead of saying it has to go away. It's the guides always describe it like this, that, and I don't think any of us were here, but when there were horses and then all of a sudden there were cars, excuse me, all of a sudden there were cars. So the people that were riding the horses were like, those are dirty, they're disgusting, they smell, they go too fast, they run over kids, they spook the horses, they're wrong. The things might have all been true, but guess who won? The cars. So here we are. It's really about utilizing it, and then becoming very discerning about how to use it. Then the next thing is, there's this news article or whatever it was these days, we don't even know, where it was claimed that an AI agent or bot went rogue and attacked another AI agent. Personally, when I go into this energy, this is a human that wrote the code so that that thing would go and attack. And then they don't want to take responsibility, so they blame AI. We're all going to get a lot more smart about AI, and we're going to hold AI accountable. What does that mean? Well, guess what? Here's a gun, but we hold the person that held the gun accountable, right? We need to hold AI accountable, but we need to hold the people who are utilizing it accountable. That's how we're going to get through this. In the end, with the right guardrails and the right constraints and the right understanding of it, that it's not always right, that it's not going to replace our brains, we can utilize it to enhance our lives. But we have to do those things. And I think we will, mainly because Europe and other countries will lead the way in this. A lot of laws that we have now are because Europe started them. A lot of laws we have now are because California started them. So I do think this is going to change the way AI is seen and used. Also, there's just a huge backlash against AI. Younger kids that are 10 years old are trying to find cassette recorders and record players, right? They're tired of AI. So I think all these things are going to make AI kind of put it in a new place, in a more manageable place. That doesn't mean that they don't want AI to run our lives. It doesn't mean they don't want to kill us all and replace us with robots. They want that. This is their plan. I'm just telling you, it's not going to work right now. They're too early. If they tried another 10 years from now, they probably could have pulled it off. But the astrology, the numerology, the energy all says the people, we're moving forward, we're evolving. That's why they're trying all this shit now, because they're not going to pull it off in 10 years. So they're just trying everything they can now, and it's not working. Vanessa, you're probably the one who said earlier, I meant to get to your question. So I did share on Threads that there's an article that says that Oprah's closing her girls' school in Africa. And I wrote on Threads, this is a much bigger deal, and it is a much bigger deal. Why would she close her school? I mean, I'm sure she has a publicist who has a good reason, but think about US aid being down and out. Think about famine and drought in Africa. Why would you close your girls' school now when they need it more than ever? Oprah, just asking. Well, allegedly and for entertainment only, there have been some accusations about that girls' school. There have been accusations about girls disappearing. There's been accusations about trafficking. Accusations, allegedly, for entertainment purposes only, maybe. Okay. But I'm going to say energetically, this is no way, no, this is no good. This is bad. She's closing it to get ahead of some investigations that are coming out, allegedly. I have to be very careful, right? Because nobody needs to be sued. Oh my God, right. Before, there's so many common sense things. Before Reagan, the cost of your rent was tax deductible. You know, now and I'm not a big police fan, sorry, but if you have to go buy stuff yourself, like if you're a firefighter or a teacher, you got to go buy that stuff. It used to be tax deductible. Now it's not. You can't tax deductible things that you have to buy for work. They just keep putting the squeeze on us. They just keep squeezing us. I did say something about Fauci in the very beginning. He's going to be okay. My God, he's been through worse. But they publicized his diary. That was a mistake because it made him look like a hero that he is. And so now everybody's thinking he's a hero. So now they're going after him to distract from the fact that his diary did not do what they thought it would do. Yeah. Oh, good question. DK Walk says, Gina Hinojosa, this woman is running for governor in Texas. This is a big deal because Texas had a female governor who was freaking amazing, and Ann Richards. And I'm going to say that Gina Hinojosa is gaining traction. Like, she's on the outside. She's not on the inside. She's on the outside, but she's gaining traction. She could really win, mainly because of the same thing I keep telling you guys about the Democrats. The Republicans have screwed this up so bad. Now they're afraid for their lives. They're afraid for prison. They got to stay in office or else they're going to go to prison. But at the same time, they can't stay in office because they're going to go to prison. So I think she has a real chance. If nothing else, she's going to scare the living daylights out of them with how much support she has. I can't say she's going to win for sure, but I would say that she's doing everything right. She looks good. Her energy looks good. She needs to stay safe. That's an important thing. But yes, so if you listen, an important thing you guys can all do. If you're on any social media, you can amplify people's posts. Just repost it. If you see something by Gina, repost it. If you see something by a person that you support, just keep reposting. Be an amplifier. You don't necessarily always have to comment. Just keep getting their stuff out there. Just pass it along, pass it along, pass it along. That's super helpful. I didn't see the question by. Wow, it hurts your credit score. Right. If you don't pay your rent and you get evicted, it hurts your credit score. But if you've been paying rent for 5 years, it doesn't help you. That's why you can't buy a house. One of the reasons why, because you're not building your credit score up, because they don't want you to buy a house. They want you to stay in a rentals. Some people like rentals, which is fine. But if you want to buy a house, you should be able to buy a house, right? It shouldn't be that hard. They factor in your SAT and your credit score. That is insanity. Isn't that insanity? This is what I'm talking about, that book. If anybody finds that book, email me. But it was literally, you wore this. I should just Google it, but I think I have Googled it. think his name is, it must not be his name, but I want to say his name is Schenkenfelder or Schexnayer or Schex. I've Googled all the spellings. I can't find it, but I haven't Googled the premise of the book because it's like flock cameras. Like they're all picking up your little ID that you wear. And it was, it stayed with me. I mean, how many hundreds of books have I read since then? But that book has stayed with me, and there's a reason, because it has a meaning for the future. Yes, it's funny that the guides used funny money, repent immediately, because you're right. Our money is funny money, and digital money would be more of the same in a sense, except for that at least if I have money in my hands, I know I have money in my hands. I don't know. Um, you put in a question, Elizabeth, about Dr. Fauci. What will happen after his deposition? I feel like I'm right about this, but the guides are saying he will be protected. So, as I said, he's been through hell and back, honestly, but I think he's going to be protected. He has the wherewithal and the means to leave the country if he needs to. So I think he'll be protected. But it's a dog and pony show, the guides are saying. They just want to, they just want to get him up there and beat him up and make him, like they did Hillary Clinton for 12 hours straight, right? I'm not saying I'm not trying to diminish it, but I'm saying he won't. I don't see him going to prison, and I don't see him getting KILLED. Yeah, that's right. Jared's dad spent time in prison. I mean, in jail. That's true. They're criminals. They're all freaking criminals. Um, the problem is if you don't care about your credit scores, it affects it affects things that you literally buy. Your car insurance, your house insurance. It does impact you. They're making it so you have to pay attention to it. You have to play their stupid game. And the Democrats need to start writing laws about this. But instead, they're trying to write a law saying we should just make daylight savings time permanent. That's what they're doing with their time. We're going to write a law that makes daylight savings time permanent. I'm like, you should just resign. You should leave your office immediately. You should be writing laws about ICE. You should be writing laws about the 25th Amendment. You should be writing laws, for the Lord. Anyway, no, I'm not saying all the Western world is funny money. I'm saying the US is funny money. But the guides would say that the World Bank, right? The World Bank. I mean, come on. It, it's built to help those who have money. It's not built to help citizens. That's why we need US aid in the rest of the world. That's why we need charity, right? These banks are not built for the common person or the common good. So in that way, you could call them funny money because they're not equal and just. You know what I mean? Who do they give loans to? Right? It's just not. It's not. There's no parity there. Mangione. Oh, um, Metallic Muse says anything about Mangione trials? What's the deal with the prosecution? Mangione. I hate to say this, but he's safer in jail. He's safer in prison. He's safe there. They protect him. So if he got out, I would be worried about him. I'd be really worried about him. He wouldn't. It wouldn't. I mean, I'm just telling you, he's better off where he's at. But okay, so and that might be one way they get rid of a problem, right? They get a mistrial, so he walks free, and then he gets hit by a bus, right? I mean, I'm sorry, I'm channeling. I normally would not say these things, but that's what I get. So there is a potential that he gets mistrialed. Him and the guy, I don't know his name, the guy who is still alive, who was supposedly the Charlie K person, Killer, those two people, There's energy around one of them getting released. But if they get released, I feel like they're going to be taken out. I don't see any justice there in that way. I hope I'm wrong. Let me just do one or two more. We're 2 hours and 9 minutes. I need to move on. I need to take a break. Right. That's so true, Raymond. This is a really, really clear way to describe it. Raymond says the money expands in their hands while the money in yours is contracting. That is exactly it. Just imagine their money grows, your money disappears. That's it in a very eloquent stated way. Karen Ettinger says, why aren't the Dems in Congress doing what you're suggesting? Are they getting paid off? I mean, yes, they're getting paid off because to be in Congress, it takes millions of dollars. And how do they get those millions and millions of dollars? By corporations. And the corporations have lobbyists who show up on the Hill and pay them more money to do the thing. So it's a game. It's a game, you know. But beyond that, the other problem is the leadership, Jeffries, Pelosi, Schumer, all these people have been sort of corrupted, the guides want to say, mind corrupted to believe that they have to play the game. And the game says we can't make Republicans mad. We can't step over this line. I did a whole video where I talked about this, right? Where I said there's a game. There's, when you play a game, there's a board. You have to stay on the board. You can't ever leave the board, which means you can't have universal health care, but at the same time, you can't be a authoritarian regime. Okay, those were the rules. But what happened is the Republicans left the board. They left. They're like, we're not playing by the rules anymore. We don't care about the rules. And the Democrats are still playing by the rules, as if there are rules, as if there is a democracy. This is the problem. Then you have people like Mom Donnie, who's like, I'm not playing by any rules. I'm going to do what I need to do. But these Democrats that are in office are playing by the rules. I'm not kidding you when I say that one of those senators, and I don't know if it was the M person I don't know if it was Klobuchar or somebody, said, I'm so excited to be signing and promoting this bill to make daylight savings time. What? Are you, have you lost your mind? Do you not see what's happening? And maybe all those things are true, right? But we see it. And those Democrats have to go. This is why I see the Democrats splitting. I see the party splitting. Because I can't be. I used to like Klobuchar. I used to like these people. I used to respect these people. I don't respect them anymore. And every day that goes by, I lose more respect for them. So I need somebody to be a lot more, like Elizabeth Warren. I need somebody to just tell you what the hell is going on and not care about daylight savings time. So yeah. So, again, I just want to say, you guys, that I appreciate your support. I appreciate you supporting each other. You come here, you're kind to each other, you talk with each other, you're having your own conversations while I'm talking. I think that's community. I think that's really important, what we're doing right now. Remember that he brought us together. His first reign of terror was when all of us joined YouTube. That's when I started my channel. That's when a lot of the people that you follow on YouTube for political predictions, that was when that happened, is him. We were answering his call to injustice. And so that brought us together. So there's a lot of good things that are happening. The guides always say that it's important that look at how the fact that Zorro Ranch is no longer operating. I know it's dark. I know it feels hopeless. But look, Zorro Ranch is shut down. The Lolita Express is shut down. There's still stuff happening. There's still trafficking happening. But these are great big operations that got shut down. And that's a big positive, big win that's happened despite all of this crap that's going on. So we have to also count the wins. Sometimes we just don't, we don't count our wins. And it's super important for us to do that. So I hope that you will do that, that you will count the wins, count the local wins, go volunteer, help out locally, ask for help if you need help. It's all important work. And we're going to rebuild. We're going to rebuild our country. It's not going to happen overnight, but we are going to rebuild our country. Yeah, I see the people you guys are mentioning in there, Moskowitz, so many people that I've just lost respect for. Jeffries, I lost respect for. Pelosi, I lost respect for. If you guys are just joining, please go back and watch from the beginning, because we talked about so many subjects that were so important and helpful and interesting. So if you want to know what that's about, please go back to the beginning. You guys remember that I have an online community where I'm with you 6 hours a month, teaching you classes, workshops, where we're all there supporting each other. We have a special section called Democracy Dialogue, where it's only talking about politics. And there's no trolls, there's no advertising. It's a safe place for you to be. And you can find out about that. You can scan that QR code that's up there with your phone. That takes you to my website. Also, don't forget, I have a newsletter, The Guides. I channel a newsletter every single week, and it's super helpful. I don't like newsletters and I don't read email, but I actually read my own. That's how I know it's worth reading, because I just have such a high standard and I don't have enough time. So if you're interested in that, it's free. You can also find that out on my website, SusanLynnMedium.com, SusanLynnMedium.com. And I'm on a lot of social media. So don't forget that I have all these spiritual videos over on Susan Lynn Spiritual Way Shower. Spiritual videos, like, look, it's helpful. If you want to know how to get through this, there's a free videos on how to get through this. If you're stuck, how to get unstuck, how to listen to your spirit guides, how to get messages. What does it mean when you get messages? All these videos are free. Watch them. It'll help you. It'll raise your vibration. It'll help you get engaged with your team, which will help you get through this. My new thing is thrive and survive. I don't want to just survive this. I want to thrive. I want to come through the other side a better person, a happier person, in one piece. I don't want them to take anything from me. I don't want them to take my sanity, my peace, or my health. I'm not giving them any of that. They don't get that from me. I'm going to fight back, starting with me and my health and my sanity and my well-being and my money. And we can do it. This is a time when you can make money. I know it sounds crazy, but you can. You just have to tap in to where the money is. Believe me, it's there. It's not going to be in the corporations. It's not going to be in the usual places. So that's why I say, look outside of the box. But if you can get in touch with your spirit guide team and get on your soul path, then it's green lights and money. And these videos are free. They're just sitting there on YouTube. So I hope you check them out. Susan Lynn, Spiritual Way Shower. Take really good care of yourselves, everybody. We're going to get, oh, thank you, T-Barb, for posting that. We're going to get through this together. That's what I say. And that's what I mean. I'm here for you. You're here for me. We're going to get through it together. And God darn it, we're going to pop the champagne. I found the confetti cannons when I was moving. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna celebrate, and then we're gonna rise up together to meet the next challenge together. Ask for help if you need it. Give help if you can. Okay, everybody. I'll see you next time. Take good care of yourselves. Much love. See you next time. Bye, everybody.